The city council, South Clayton, Joshua, Texas. This is an open meeting subject to the open meeting laws of the state of Texas. We do have this meeting on Zoom. If there is anybody watching on Zoom, there's a little button that you can punch if you would like to ask the question, and that will notify the city secretary, and then she will notify me. At this point in time, we do have a quorum present. I'm going to ask Merle Reitenside to lead us in the pledge, followed by the invocation from Pastor Josh Burns.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under the Texas flag,
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Would you join me in prayer? Father God, we thank you so much for the day, your blessings on our lives, and just for the ability to be able to live and to breathe this day. Lord, I pray your blessings upon this city, continued growth, and Lord, just the expansion to be able to minister to people in our daily lives as we come and go. Lord, I pray for the businesses and those that are watching out for our safety, for our law enforcement, for our firefighters, our EMT, and for this council, Lord. I lift them up to you. I pray your blessings upon them. Lord, I pray your protection upon their lives and their families, and that you would just do good by them. And we thank you, Lord, for the ability to be able to come into this place tonight in freedom, to conduct business, and to be able to call upon your name and ask that you would bless in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Thanks, Pastor Josh. All right, first item on the work session is review and discuss questions related to the budget report and the financial statement for October. Does anybody have any questions on the budget? All right. Next item, does anybody have any questions regarding any regular session agenda items? Next, we have public forum, which is where we'll allow people to speak. However, you'll be limited to 3 minutes, and the council is not allowed to. All we can do is direct you to the person that you should be talking to or state a position of fact. Do we have anybody that was signed up that wants to speak other than on the 144 acres?
Yes, sir. There should be a stack right next to you.
Yeah, but I think all these people want to speak on the 144 acres. So, all right. Next item is the consent agenda, which is to consider approval of the minutes from the city council meeting held on October 21st. Anybody have any questions? No, we approve.
I'll second.
We got a motion by Scott Kimball, seconded by Angela Nichols, to approve the minutes from the city council meeting held on October 21st. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we'll move to the regular agenda. Open up a public hearing at 6:33 for a request for a zoning change on a 144.24 acre of land known as Tract 9 and 10 in the George Castleland Survey, abstract number 173, County of Johnson, Texas, located on the east side of County Road 1023 to change from agricultural district, the R1L single family residential large lot, to allow for the construction of a residential subdivision. Aaron?
Mayor and council, the vacant property has never been platted and was originally zoned as agricultural district. The proposed development of this property is to allow for the property to be subdivided for the construction of a residential subdivision containing a minimum of 1 acre size lots and follow all of the R1L district regulations. This development will be required to submit engineered construction plans and will also be required to preliminary plat and final plat. The city has agreed that these matters may be part of the construction and platting review process. The proposed request complies with the future land use plan. The Planning and Zoning Board has made a recommendation to the City Council Board for approval of the rezone on November 1st of 2021.
The owner here tonight want to make any statement?
We have the developers here.
Warner may be here as well.
You can work too.
Evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Scott Wilhelm. I'm the president of Tignall & Perkins. We're consulting engineers. Over the years, we've actually had the pleasure of serving the city of Joshua many times with engineering services. Tonight, we're here to serve y'all again by bringing another quality development to the city of Joshua, and that starts with zoning. So as Aaron said, this property is currently zoned agricultural. We're proposing to zone it to, what's it, R1L, which is in accordance with your future land use plan. We're not asking for anything special, any waivers or variances with the zoning. We're not doing a PD or anything like that. It's just straight zoning. We intend to comply with all the zoning requirements associated with the zoning category. I'd like to commend staff. They've been very responsive, which is refreshing. We work with a lot of cities where we don't get that, so I appreciate staff's help on this process to this point. And as Aaron alluded to, we're working on a preliminary plat, which I think many of the people here tonight are probably more interested in the elements of that than in the actual zoning. But we're working on that. We'll be back before P&Z with that in the very near future. At that, I'm at your disposal for any questions.
All right, thank you. All right, next, we had several people that wanted to speak. So I'm going to call you up, and again, you'll have 3 minutes. Lindsay Hayden, is she here? Are they here tonight? Lori Conine. Okay. Randall Hutchins. Lindsay Butler. And ones that I've read so far were opposed to the request. Robert Prado, Roberto. Did you want to speak?
No, I don't know where my name comes.
Pardon?
No, I'm not.
Okay, thank you. And he was against. Kathleen Richardson. I think that was against. Arnold Thornmeyer. Against. Shirley Warner. If you would, please state your name and address.
My name is Shirley Warner. I live at 5028 Wagon Wheel Road, which is right next to the property. I don't want any of it because it's just going to bring problems and heartaches to me and my neighbor across the street because she's connected to it also. We don't want, we've got dead end street for a purpose. That's what we bought, to have privacy. And I just really don't want it. And if you do it, please put a gate for the first responders to get through. Do not leave a wagon wheel open because it will destroy the road. It's not built for it. The homeowners paid to have the county asphalt it many years ago because it was a mud bowl. If it sprinkled, you had to have a vehicle on one end and one on the other to get in and out. And it doesn't have very much asphalt on it now. And it doesn't get repaired. And it's just wrong to us to have it.
All right, thank you very much. And Linda Smith, and she was in favor of it. And I had some filled out tonight by Rob Orr.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I appreciate the opportunity. You asked earlier and you didn't see me, but I'm here representing the owner, Mr. Burkett. He's owned this property it's been in the family since 1936. They have farmed there and been there for all these many years. Mr. Burkett is getting up in age and decided to sell the property. We feel like we have found a tremendous purchaser that is going to do a great quality development for the city of Joshua. I live in Joshua myself now. And so, I really, you've got to look at, I believe it is so important for the council to look at what kind of growth, the growth is coming, right? It's going to come no matter what. So you've got to determine what type of growth that you really want. When you look at the numbers on this, it's going to create $37 to $50 million in property value, not counting the people that are going to live there that are going to buy, shop, eat. And so what this development will do, in my opinion, is will bring a lot for the community. It'll bring better restaurants. It'll be able to help you keep the taxes lower because of the development of this development. It'll also help fix roads and other things that need to be done in the community this project will bring in. I think it's good for the community. I think success breeds success, and you'll have other economic development. You're either growing or you're dying, and Joshua is going to grow. And so I think this is a tremendous development for this community, and I hope you'll support it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Time.
Todd Burnfield.
Good evening, Council. Todd Sternfeld, 1000 County Road 904, Joshua, Texas. Purchased the property in 2015, 25 acres. It was a complete mess. And I've come in and rehabilitated it and improved the property value as well as the property values around my property. I've got a big concern about the roads. The roads are not capable of handling the existing traffic that we have today running through Joshua. I have a business in Cleburne. I've been there for 25 years. Glad to be involved with Joshua. It's a diamond in the rough. Has a huge potential for controlled quality growth. But if we don't have the infrastructure in place to support more development, it seems to me that we're putting the horse or the cart before the horse. And at this point, I even had mentioned at the planning and zoning meeting that I attended, that if anything, I'd like to see 5-acre lots. I mean, that's 1/5 of what I have. And now you're talking about, you know, a different ratio when you put 1 acre to 25. Again, the traffic, the roads, I don't even think, I mean, I know there's no sewer. I guess there is some sewer in some parts of Joshua, but in our area, we don't have sewer. We're fortunate to have Johnson County water. I don't know how this would impact, you know, the water. But it would be nice to have sewer. And from what I've been told, it looks like this development, if it does happen or go through, that it would have to be on septic. Again, I just like to see good, solid infrastructure to support any growth that takes place in the city. And maybe with a little patience and a little time, everybody can come to some type of agreement on how we can all move forward with this to make it a win-win for everybody. But the existing residents that are in the city have concerns and they need to be heard. And I feel it's important that whatever zoning and master plan things have been done in the past doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to apply today. So we should be looking at what we're dealing with today and what we'll be dealing with down the road so that we have continue to have a better quality of life through good infrastructure. Thank you.
Very much. Julian Torres.
Hey. I just want to hear myself talk. My name is Julian Torres, and I am residing at 951 Yvonne Drive in Joshua, Texas. And I was an alternate on the planning and zoning. And I know that this is preliminary. A lot of folks don't understand that. But I stood up here almost 4 years ago in the very same situation. A lot of these folks are going to have the same concerns I had. And let me tell you, I wished I had one RL in my backyard. While I'm pro property owner rights, that's why I voted on the P and Z to go forward with the zoning change. I'm also pro resident. Adjacent residents, you know, zoning changes and development doesn't come without some problems of some sort. You know, I've got 4 inches of silt runoff that I don't want, and nobody else does either. But like to touch on his deal, we got to consider the residents for the future, not just the here and now. You know, so that's really all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Did anybody else come in that y'all heard me call their name, that maybe they came in after we started? Okay. So has everybody had a chance now then that wanted to speak on this, a chance to get up and talk? All right, did owner or staff, or excuse me, did owner or Rob, did y'all want to make any kind of rebuttal? Anything that's said? All right, then I'm going to close the public hearing at 6:46. Next item is discuss, consider, and take possible action on the ordinance approving a request for a zoning change regarding a 144.24 acre of land known as tract 9 and 10 of the George Castle and Survey, abstract number 173, County of Johnson, Texas, located on the east side of County Road 1023, to change from agricultural district to R1 single family residential lot district to allow for the construction of a residential subdivision. Now we're going to basically discuss it, and all we're discussing tonight is just the zoning change. This has nothing to do with the plat, the way the property is going to lay out, nothing to do with drainage, nothing to do with streets. All we're going to be doing is voting on whether or not they can change from agriculture to an R1L, which is a large lot, 1 acre. Typically, that means that they're wanting to do some development in the future, but as of right now, we have not seen any of those development plans. Those will all have to be presented, streets, all that kind of stuff will come into play. I think we've all heard you guys what you're saying. One of the deals about the roads, I get that. I would imagine, I don't know for sure, but these houses are going to be very expensive houses, probably $400,000 or $500,000 houses, 1 acre lot or better. I don't see people wanting to drive their Mercedes or Lexus down the roads in the shape that they're in now. So I think between the city and the developers and everything, we're going to have to come up with something on that, or else nobody's going to buy the lots. So, but those concerns are going to be addressed later. Like I said, all we're doing tonight is just changing the zone. There will be another public hearing just like tonight when they get to the point where they've given us what their flat's going to look like. We will send out notices again. And what do we send them on the preliminary and final, or just the final, or which one?
There's no notices.
There's no more notices to go out. Okay. What can we tell these folks so that they can be monitoring it and make sure they know whenever something's coming up?
Please check the website. We have our standard meetings put in. The zone is always the first Monday of each month. It's always posted to Friday before, so just look at the agenda or just give me a call here and I'll be happy to look it up for them.
Okay. What you're talking about, you go to the city's website, we've got a deal, I believe it's under government and then under agendas, and it will tell you what we're going to be discussing. This will show up on P and Z first. So a good indication is when you see it show up on P and Z for the planning and everything, then usually 2 weeks later is when it'll come before the council. But y'all will have an option to come in and talk before the P and Z again. Once we see what it is that they're going to be putting on the ground, you'll also have that same option to come before the council again. So we're going to listen. Usually when we're doing these, it's a give and take situation as far as what gets put in. So we're going to definitely listen to citizen input. That's all I got to say. Does anybody else have any questions or anything you want to say?
Looking at this aerial map that we have, showing how it's lined and everything, and knowing, having driven up Wagon Wheel several times myself, these people are absolutely right. That street cannot handle any more traffic. One of the things that I would say we need to require is that there not be access to wagons there.
We're not talking about that tonight. All we're talking
I
about
know
now.
that,
is
I know that,
strictly
Joe.
zoning.
I know that, Joe. Okay, but for me to support the zoning change, you know, I want to put on record that we need to take care of these people. I mean, they have paid for that road to be the shape it's in now.
That's true.
After years and years, you know, we've annexed that and we've done nothing to help improve that road. And that's something that we have talked about in this council about the infrastructure that needs to be done. The city also needs to get involved with Johnson County Special Utilities District and see what we can do about getting sewer out there. I mean, you know, let's face it, we're building houses all over this city and we got a problem with sewer. It's something that needs to be addressed. And if we're going to zone things like this so that we can build houses out there, we're going to have to be a little more proactive about it. We need to be doing it. As far as changing the zoning, that's just the first step in a very long process.
Right.
But if we don't do these other things, we're not doing our duty. We're not doing our due diligence for the citizens by starting to begin with and letting the owner know up front. Hey, look, if we do this, we're going to expect some give and take from you. And it's going to be some pretty good give and take to be doing some of these roads because they are in horrible, horrible shape. And these citizens have every right to be concerned about increasing traffic on those roads.
Angela, Rick?
I agree with Scott there. We need to see roads, but once they start developing everything, you've got the big trucks coming. If you fix the road then they pull up later when the trucks come in. So, you know, it's,
If you do it now, they're gonna tell them, well, where's it's gonna be harder to fix,
That's right.
a lot more money.
agreed.
And if you don't fix
Okay,
it, they'll-
sir, we gave you the opportunity to talk. If you'd like to talk again, if you'll raise your hand, I'll recognize you. But we can't just have everybody popping up. All right, you'll come up and state your name and address, and you can ask your question. Thank you.
This property is in a flood zone, is that correct?
All right. Name and address. please.
Glenn Westfall, 5612 County Road 1023.
I'm not sure, y'all know, you're in a flood zone?
Yes. There is some floodplain on the property.
Is it 70% of the property you're looking at in a flood zone or floodplain?
No.
You know, the percentage of the property that's in a floodplain?
I would speculate to say it's 20-25%.
We have a lot of drainage that runs through there. Y'all want to have a meeting?
I'm sorry, what?
There's a lot of drainage that runs through there from County Road 1023. It's a curve that runs right through your property. It's a big bowl. It's nasty, it's sloshy, it's gooky. My property is dry. If you want to walk out there now, you're going to sink up to your knees. It's bad. I don't know how you could build a house there. I don't know what you're going to do with your septic that you're going to pump out. You don't have a city sewer. You got 96 houses, is that right? On a septic? That's going to be spraying aerobic. 90 lots, spraying aerobic all around there. And you're in a hole. Where's it going to go?
Not a septic engineer.
These drainage plans you're going to bring to the meeting next month, and we're not going to know about the meeting. We're not going to get no letters in the mail.
No, stop it. We told you how you could find out about the meeting. We haven't said it's gonna be next month. I'm not sure when it is. They have to do their portion of it, but we've told you what you need to do.
You got my address there. You're going to notify me. You're going to let us know? No,
We'll post it online.
online. The roads are torn up. You guys have been saying you're going to fix these roads for 20 years. You're going to have 300 more cars daily coming in and out of that place. Those roads are already torn up. And you're going to have one way in and one way out, and it's right there on 1023. Right now, you can't get a fire truck and a car going north and south on there without one of them pulling over. People saying they lost mirrors on that road, that's true. It happens every day. You want to take the property away from the homeowners there to widen the road to put in a subdivision in swampland? That's something to think about.
And that's a lot of drainage, not just from the shit water, but from the rain itself.
Thank you. Again, all these things will be taken into consideration when we get to that particular step. We haven't seen anything yet, so until we do, that's when we can discuss it and allow y'all to discuss it as well. Anybody else have any questions? Anybody in the audience have anything that they want to ask? Okay, I'll entertain a motion then. I'll make a motion, we accept as anticipated here. Second. I'll second it. All right, got a motion and a second to approve just the zoning change request, nothing else. Anybody else have any other questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. You're four again. That's 4-1. Motion carries. Again, you guys have just watched those, check the website. Again, Alice said, if you'll call and only leave her your number, she will contact you directly whenever something's going to come up. So if you don't have the internet or something, again, just contact her. She will notify you if anything comes up about this property. And she can be reached by calling City Hall, or you can leave a message with her tonight.
I did not vote. It was not 4-1.
No, I didn't vote.
I did not vote.
You're abstaining? All right, it was 4-0 with one abstention.
It was 3-1.
3-1.
Oh, no.
And I have 3, 4, 1 against, and 1
Here we
abstain.
go again. I thought you said you were 4.
No.
I apologize, that's my mistake, but it's 3-1 and 1. All right, next item is discuss, consider, and take possible action on an ordinance establishing and implementing a program to charge mitigation rates for deployment of emergency and non-emergency services by the Joshua Fire Department for services provided to the city of Joshua.
This is updating an ordinance that, and a process that's currently in place. We're just updating it, bringing it up to current standards. And then we'll be later in the agenda, we'll be talking about a different provider to provide that service. This is going to be, most insurance companies now have policies that provide for emergency services, especially for extended problems, hazardous materials, cleanups, events of that type. And this will be something that will be able to collect from those insurance providers. It will not be directly billing residents or occupants of the vehicle. There'll just be insurance where that benefit is available.
And just, I'd ask Mike about this as well, and this has nothing to do, if a person needs to call our emergency services, and their insurance company doesn't cover that, we're not gonna be going after anybody or anything. This is only ones where we'll check if they do have an insurance policy in place, all we're gonna ask for is just whatever our fair share of that would be. It's not gonna be, we're not looking for any deductibles or anything like that. Does anybody have any questions?
Looking at some of these charges on here,
Right?
is this changing all the code, or is this kind of establishing a new?
It's only updating what's currently there with the, what the current billing stuff, what insurance ratings are.
Okay, so like the fire marshal inspection certificate of occupancy, isn't that the thing we already do through the coding anyway?
Yes.
Okay,
But
so,
we're part of this is updating that, the fee schedule.
so it's updating the fee schedule and everything at the same time. Okay, that's what I was wanting to make sure.
Most of this already exists. We're just,
Updating it.
it's 10 years old. We're just bringing it current.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I'm reading here, something about if the insurance didn't cover it all, we go after the individual.
No, absolutely not. That wasn't in there, and that's what I just said. That this is only if they have the insurance, whatever the insurance is willing to pay, that's what this company will go for. We will not go against any individuals directly.
That's correct.
All right, anybody else have a question? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion approved.
I'll second.
A motion by Rick Dupree, seconded by Scott Kimball. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Okay. I vote, right? Next, discuss and consider and take possible action or an ordinance amending chapter 8 offenses and nuisances of the Code of Ordinances by adding a new article 8.09 traffic sidewalk and public way obstructions, providing for the removal of traffic obstructions, including the trimming of trees and other plants and foliage. Right?
Mayor, this is an ordinance that we're putting in place that we currently have a similar provision in the mobile home ordinance. We're getting a lot of complaints about low-lying limbs and people with travel trailers and motorhomes running into them and damaging the roofs. And so this is to basically mimic what's in the mobile home ordinance. It allows us to go in and either request that the property owners trim trees that are hanging over in the right of way to 14 feet above the street. That's the TxDOT standard. And then if they don't, we always offer to let the homeowner do it. They may want to bring somebody and do the whole tree, because all we will touch is just what's directly below that 14-foot level. We don't trim up trees, and so it's a lot of times the people prefer just to do it themselves once we ask them to. It's just gives us that standard and allows us to remove anything that's within 14 feet of the road.
And there's no charge to the homeowner, property owner, if we go in and do that.
If we go and do it, we don't charge them. Whatever we cut down, we'll take out. And I mean, but we give them the option in case they want to, you know, have the tree shaped, and we don't want
Everybody on
them to.
Eddy Street wasn't given that option. You guys tore up everybody's trees on Eddy Street in yards.
And now, if you have a question, I need you to raise your hand. I will recognize you.
I do. You guys hired somebody to do Eddy Street.
If you come up to the
Yes.
podium and state your name and address, please.
My name's Jeannie Johnston, 920 Taylor Drive. You guys tore up the trees on Eddy Street. I mean, it looked terrible. You also tore up yards, left branches in the yards for a week, a week and a half, I'd like to propose that Joshua get a new entryway sign that says, "Hi, welcome to Joshua Taxes," because that's what's happening here. Everybody's taxes have gone up. I don't know if you guys have gone up as much as ours has, but it's ridiculous. You guys are just.
Well,
You want me? Okay.
Number one, we lowered the taxes by 5 cents.
Ours, no.
Well, we don't have anything to do with the appraisal, but we do take that into consideration. We've added a homestead exemption and we've lowered the tax the last couple of years. Now, your total taxes may have gone up, but that you got school districts.
From 68 to 195,000.
But you got to look at CAC about appraisal. Okay, they did that.
You guys vote for the people in the appraisal district. Yes, you do. You guys got votes.
They give us a slate.
I don't have no say in that. I have no say. I don't get to vote for the appraisal review board.
Who would you like to vote? We're doing that tonight.
Vote them all out, really. Well, as much as taxes went up this year, I'd say vote them all out.
Well, only certain people volunteered. That's what the legislature, the people said they would be willing to do. Have somebody that you'd like to recommend that's on that list. I'll have to listen.
Okay.
Now, before you leave, did we do the street on Eddy or is that another
You
contract?
guys hired out to Johnson County.
I mean, was it through the city or? Okay, so it was.
So we went and did some cleaning up when some of the stuff didn't get picked up. which-
Because of the housing development that's
But
coming,
who was
that's why they were
it that
tore
did
up.
the actual- I mean, who was it that asked that the work be done?
I don't recall who was down there doing it. I don't know if it was the electric provider, who it was, but there was some stuff left out there in the yards. I forget the lady's name. I went and visited with her, but we sent people to clean some of it up. I can get the information. I just don't know off the top. of my head.
Zach, I just want to make that.
Well, the tractor was parked at Gerald Miller's place, the land that's getting redeveloped out there.
Right.
So they would probably know who hired them. The tractor was parked on their property. But
Like, we get contractors that feel like United Co-op,
Kenny,
Encore, they'll come in and
what's his
cut
name?
those
Kenny
trees.
Howell? It was who the check was made out to, I do believe.
Sorry.
Johnson County, or you guys made a check out to Johnson County, or Kenny Howell is who that was
That
through.
precinct, I think, is actually who went down there and trimmed those out.
Okay,
Yep. Okay, well, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, anybody else out there have a question on that? Anybody else on the council have a question? I'll entertain a motion then.
I move we approve.
Motion by Scott Kimball, second by Bert Whitenstein to approve an ordinance amending the chapter 8 offenses and nuisances of the code of ordinances by adding a new article 8.09 traffic sidewalk and public way obstructions and providing for the removal of traffic obstructions, including the trimming of trees and other plants and foliage. Any other questions? All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
Mayor, before you go to the next one, Chief, you got an introduction that you want to make?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go right ahead. Come on up here, young lady.
We've suspended hiring 12 people, now we're hiring 12. This is Colleen O'Hart. She comes to us from Hill County. She's got about 6 years of total experience in law enforcement, and she's been hired as our second detective. So we are now back to a full sworn staff in CID. I just wanted to bring her, introduce her to you.
Congratulations, welcome aboard.
We'll have a last one position filled by the end of the month. Hopefully, next month's meeting will be introduced to our final offer.
Very good.
And if I could have 1 minute every time, if you don't mind, I'd like to publicly thank Glenn Walden and our Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association. Last month, I introduced you to Officer Tyler Smith and K9 Camo. With their generosity, they purchased a kennel insert for one of our patrol vehicles. That kennel insert has been installed, been delivered and been installed, and that the K9 is up and running 100% through their generosity. Awesome.
All right, next item, discuss, consider, and take possible action on the resolution affirming the casting of the votes in the 2022-2023 election of the Board of Directors for the Central Appraisal District, of Johnson County. Again, we're just giving the names of the folks that volunteered to be on this. There's like 7 names: Don Beeson, Byron Black, Vance Castles, Toby Ford, Jeannie Prezak, Alicia Rosales, and Brenda Webb. We get 53 votes out of a possible several thousand, so unfortunately our 53 votes don't count much.
And none of us here tonight.
Nope,
I vote for none of them.
I don't know any of them.
I don't either.
I do.
Well, that's not a good thing.
There's several good people in there though. I mean, there's several good people. You know?
I like to meet you.
Last time we did this,
Yeah,
we had some file
So what?
some files
on
on
the
that.
file. We had a package for each one.
Really?
And then Craig Hudley come up here and talk.
Right. I remember him talking. I
So
don't
at least we have something to go by. Maybe they can go by.
Up y'all, what you want to do? We want to give our votes, or we not asking for anybody?
I can't cast a vote for somebody I don't know. And are any of these guys currently on the CAD?
I know Toby Ford is. I'm pretty sure Don Beeson and Byron Black are. I'm not sure of the others.
This is due by when to give to them.
If we don't do it tonight, then our vote won't count anyway. So it's got to be back to deal by December 15th.
Maybe we could call tomorrow and get an extension for us so we can have a special meeting if we get some information on each one of them.
If I may, I believe it's state law has to be done.
I'm sorry.
It's got to be done by a certain time. It's state law. Excuse me.
That's not good the way they did it this time.
Does anybody know Vance Castles? What about, Jeannie? Was that? Her? Alicia Rosales? Nope. Brenda Webb? Nope. Don't know any of them.
I know Toby Ford and I know Don Beeson.
Yeah. Byron Black, he's been mayor of Burleson.
Byron doesn't even live in the area anymore, does he?
Well, you're talking, you got to live in Johnson County.
Yeah. I thought he was down in South Texas somewhere.
Don Beeson has been county commissioner, law enforcement officer. He takes over as chief of police for several little communities that lose their, he's kind of interim chief of police. He's real well known, real good guy.
We met Toby, think about it, we met Toby, when we first put him on, we voted for him, when he first went on the board.
I'll make a motion that we accept Don Beeson, Byron Black, and Toby Ford as candidates. That's far as I'm gonna go with that motion.
Now, since there's 53 votes, how do you want to split those?
Do your math, Merle.
Oh. How many votes are like that? 53?
You'll have to pull his shoes off.
Good work. Yeah.
Don't do that, you got a calculator, right?
Yeah, I got it. I'm just kind of decide. I would really give a lot of votes to Don Beeson. However, the board wants to come up with that number, that's fine with me. Byron Black and Toby Ford, I would split between the two, but the Beeson I would give the most.
We do 17, 17, and 18, I think. Do 17, 17, and 19.
Get Beeson 19 and the Byron Black and Toby Ford 17. Then
All right. Then we'll make a second.
I'll say.
there we go.
Got a motion by Merle, second by Scott to give 19 votes to Don Beeson, 17 to Byron Black, and 17 to Toby Ford. Any other discussion?
Just so everybody understands, these people on the CAD do not set the appraisals. All they do is hire the people that work there.
So they listen for the, when we had the protest, they actually do see that.
They are not the ones who actually send out the appraisals.
Right.
So just so everybody understands what's really going on with the board. That was one of the misleading things we had last year. So,
All right, anybody else have any questions? I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of that, raise your hand. Motion carries 5-0. Next, to discuss, consider take possible action on agreement with fire emergency response billing with Emergent Fire and authorize the city manager to execute all the necessary documents. This is going back to the one we voted on earlier. We currently have another company that's doing that. Their rate is a little bit higher, and I don't know that we've really gotten that much result from them, have we?
No, they're really not pushing out a lot of information. The difference here is the current emergency fire, or I'm sorry, the current one that we're using, fire recovery, kind of depend on us to provide them the information. We're not in the habit of doing wallet biopsies out on the side of the road where somebody's had a wreck. Emergency fire will actually pursue that information. They'll contact the people and work out the insurance stuff, or we're not out there trying to find the insurance cards on the side of the road while people are bleeding. Or the house is on fire. We don't want to do that. And that's the difference here. So the one place doesn't get a lot of data because we don't do that. Emergency Fire they've been incredibly successful at the way they work these things and are probably the leading service in this area now. They've been doing medical billing for years, and they moved to the fire side a few years back. And the fees are less, and we will see likely a significant increase in the funds that come from insurance.
how much did we receive like in the last year or two through this mitigation?
Very little, probably less than $10,000. It's just, we worked it a little more aggressively when we had the ambulance because there was a significant expense to operate that ambulance. And we did gather a lot of that information just for patient billing stuff, but we don't do that now. And so, we get a name and address and leave it at that.
This money that we collect, is it just going to the general fund? Is there a specific account that goes into?
Go to the general fund, and that's where it's set. and Just show up as revenue, just like what it does.
Miscellaneous revenue?
Yes. It does not have to be, the other thing is, it does not have to be committed to the fire department, meaning that we don't have to justify every dime collected goes back to them. We more than fund the fire department already as far as reimbursable, so it's just additional revenue.
You guys have any other questions? I'll entertain a motion then.
Make a motion to approve.
A motion by Rick Dupree, seconded by Angela Nichols to approve the agreement with Fire Emergency Response Building with emergency fire and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Next, discuss, consider, and take possible action on lease agreement with Cosera for the purpose of providing copiers, printers, and maintenance services, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents. Amber's been working on this. She's done a great job. We're trying to get everything to where we don't have multiple companies, multiple contracts, trying to get everything on one contract. And she's come up with a heck of a deal on this. I had some concerns, and I got with Amber today, and we didn't get some of the information back. One of them was that Cosera has actually given us $21,000 to buy out or continue making payments on our current contract, and it's actually the sum of all the payments that are left. And what I guess they were willing to do for us, that they've done for other cities, is to actually pick up the old equipment, take it to a warehouse and store it. And then whenever the leases run out, then they would deliver the equipment. I had a little bit of a concern about that because we can't find the UBO contract to make sure in the Cosera contract, if we did that, we'd be in violation of their contract if we had somebody else pick up that equipment. I want to make sure we're not in violation of the UBO contract by taking the equipment out of City Hall and moving it somewhere else. So Amber's got we're checking on that. The other thing is, on a lot of the lease payments, there is a penalty for going out early, but sometimes it's less than if you just saved up all the monthly payments and made those. So we're checking to see, number one, maybe if we just gave them a payoff, it might be less. We'd still get the 21,000, but we could negotiate it to 16,000, and they go ahead and pick up the equipment, and that would be a good deal. The other thing is, there's actually a possibility that if we pay them the full payoff amount, we may own the equipment, and then we could sell it off. So we do need new printers and copiers. So I would like to recommend that we table this till the next meeting, till we get those answers from UBO to make sure, number one, we're not going to be in conflict or anything to move the equipment. The other thing, Sarah, when she contacted them about, there's nothing in the current contract that says they're going to put it in a warehouse or anything. And they said, well, just go ahead and sign it and send it to us, and we'll add that verbiage later. That didn't fly with me. So I think until we get an answer from both of the parties, get everything documented out properly, we should table this to next. I think it's a great deal. Amber's done a good job on it, but I'm just not comfortable signing it yet.
I will support you on tabling it, because when I was in the printing industry years ago, Kyocera was known to be very sneaky. And they pulled stunts like that on printers all the time. They're good equipment, they take care of it, but they sneak things into contracts that make it difficult to cover yourself.
Well, we just want to make sure all of our bases are covered. Like I said,
I think it's a great idea to take one.
and Amber's been working with them, trying to get all that information today. And unfortunately, I didn't come in until today, so she had a late start.
I will say, I kind of pitted the three companies that I looked into against each other. So I've dug in pretty deep. I've been with Kyocera for probably the last 6 years in 2 different cities. And so far I've had a really good relationship with that I have had. But I do agree with finding that contract. I have addendums, or like the shortened condensed version of the leases. There's 5 different leases with UVO because there's been amendments throughout the years. But I can't find the actual like terms and conditions of the lease, so we want to find it.
I know our contract with them begin.
Well, what's still currently in, effect was 2017, but I believe we've had them since like 2012 or longer than that, and an additional 5 years prior.
We've added some and subtracted some.
Yeah, adjusted the counts.
I was thinking that the original contract should have been in our packet whenever we vote, whenever the council approved going into contracts with them to begin with, so.
Well, and
now I'm just starting from-
I have all the addendums that have the terms and the equipment listing and the monthly payment amount and the overage, cost for everything, but like I said, we have not been able to locate the terms and conditions, but, I think since there's 5 different contracts, some of them will expire in like 18 months, some of them are shorter than that, so.
I would imagine you will have a copy of it.
Yeah.
I did, I emailed her earlier trying to track it down, but she's out of the office until Monday. I even tried calling and I left a message, but.
We need a motion to table.
Yeah, we need to do, okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I think we table till next month.
Got a motion tabled by Scott Kimball, seconded by Merle Singh to table, discussion on the lease agreement with Casera. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Next, discuss and consider and take possible action on board appointments. We had one gentleman, Danny Turpin, that would like to be on the board. We have an opening for an alternate on the Planning and Zoning Commission. So
I did not see Mr. Turpin present.
oh. Anybody want to make a motion on Mr. Turpin on the alternate on the P and Z?
I thought Julian Torres is alternate.
Well, we have 2 alternates. Julian's the number 1 alternate, and this, Mr. Turpin would be the alternate 2. So if we had 2 people that couldn't show up, or if Julian couldn't be there, then he would be the one that would go. But no, Julian's staying. We're not, that's the thing, Julian's already on there. We just don't have a second alternate.
Right.
Yeah. But this isn't putting Danny on the board. It would make him the second alternate.
I thought we had an open one.
No. Somebody wants to make a motion, I guess we can move on. Let's see how, does anybody want to make a motion?
Merle was thinking about it.
To put him on the board, yeah, we're gonna put him on P and Z as an alternate, second alternate.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I'll make the motion that we accept him with P and Z, second alternate.
All right, we have a second.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Merle, seconded by Angela Nichols to appoint Danny Turpin to the second alternate position on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Any discussion?
I'm sorry, but if they're not dedicated enough to come to the meeting when we're considering it, we should not put them on board. I know it's tough to get people for the boards and all that, but if you want to serve bad enough, why can't you be here to talk to us on the night we're going to put you on it? I know Alice has contacted them and told them it's happening Thursday night, you need to be there. If they ain't got the guts to show up, they don't need to be on the
Will
board.
you contact
I
Mr. Turpin?
did email him. I have not heard back from him.
And you wonder, or show for me.
There you go.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. So anybody else, all those in favor, make him the second one. Opposed? Motion carries 3-2. All right, next, staff reports. Anybody have any questions on the staff report?
Okay, I think you just
Scott, you got anything?
I'm
Looking?
yeah.
You're not gonna ask me about that one missed call at the fire department?
Yes, sir, I am. That's actually was on my notes. See, look, we're all done. Yeah, I like that of the inadequate and the missed incidents.
The incident where it was missed was a scheduling error from the ongoing person and the incoming person. the person basically left and should not have, or that would have, it was a mutual aid response, so there was already other people going to them. So there was no significant issue. The person who left before he was relieved was disciplined. And we'll hope that that doesn't happen.
What about the two inadequate staff?
I think those were just calls where they were called and went out and just didn't have enough people on. And usually, like, and if it's a fire and engine company, adequate staffing is 4. I may have gone out with 3. And so we try to keep up with those.
Okay. Is that a volunteer staffing issue, you think, or?
Probably so. I mean, because there's, depending on the time of day too, I didn't look at that specific incident, but depending on when it is, a lot of times, you know, weekends, Sundays sometimes tend to be difficult to find folks, and we're adding part-time people now, and so those will,
We've gotten several applications for the part.
yeah, those will continue to go down.
Again, I'm just kind of trying to make sure we keep a finger on this. Like several of the people who were opposed to the zoning, one of the things we're talking about is inadequate fire response. You know, and these numbers that we've been seeing improve are starting to slip just a little bit. And
Yeah,
if
I
the
think-
staffing issue, we need to talk about staffing.
Yeah, well, and y'all did, because y'all funded some part-time stuff, so we've been watching it, tracking it. This was also a time where these incidents occurred when 2 of the full-time people were on vacation. One of the firefighters, and then Joey, the assistant chief that normally helps cover, they just happened to both be out, and chief has been dealing with his ailing mother, and so they've been bringing in other people. The guy that did most of the part-time work suffered a heart attack during the fire training exercise, and so he's been out for a while. He's back now, and there was about a 3-week period where we were struggling to fill schedules.
Thank you very much for letting us know that we're staying on top of it.
Tom is very sensitive to it. He comes in, as soon as he sees them, he comes in and gets it cleared up, so they're paying very close attention to it.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions on the reports? Okay. No question?
This repairs, road repairs, I see some here citywide and one potholes. Repair potholes in some streets. I don't know. Really seen any in the bad areas. How is that scheduling?
Well, I think what you're seeing with the pothole stuff is rather than trying to track how many they fill, they may send people out for a whole day in a certain area of the city and work that whole area. There was, they've been sending out, I was trying to look at how many days. They've been doing some asphalt stuff also, but when you're seeing these on here that they're out, that means there's a pothole crew that's out all day.
There's not any.
It's not one hole that they filled. It's they normally will take a quarter of the city, divided into 4 quarters, and they'll spend all day in that one area. And then next week they may go to another.
This has nothing to do with the money that we received. from the bond.
No. The bond stuff, we just met with the engineers today. We're tightening up a few little areas that we needed to make some changes. We're gonna have those ready to go to bid. Our target date is to have that work done in the spring while school's out, or during the summer, especially on Caddo because it's so heavily traveled for school. So they'll do 4th Street first. We're hoping to get that work Our plan is to have the bids for y'all's approval at your February meeting. Which I think is the 15th. And that will be the bond streets. That'll be redos of those two streets.
That one, no, we have the one developer that's actually chipping in and helping out on that one.
Yes, we've got money escrowed from Heritage and from Mockingbird, and that will go towards those funds.
Is there any consideration, or has there been any consideration on all the roads that we're talking about tonight?
Yes.
Around
904 and 1023 are both on the CIP schedule. There's work being done out there now. Wagon wheel, it's questionable, but I mean, there's really no asphalt on that street. It's chip seal. But they're right, it is in bad shape. To the other point, we've made it very clear to that developer, they will not exit that neighborhood on Wagon. The only option I've given them if they do that is they will rebuild that street. But they do know that they're going to be chipping in. We're working out those numbers now for 904 and 1023.
Yeah, just from my knowledge, okay, in the future, if this subdivision goes in, this 144 acres, that's going to open the door for other property owners to start moving towards other areas, you know. Is there any considerable thought put into widening the road? Who's going to do that? At what expense?
Well, when you start widening roads, you do get very expensive because along with widening it, you have to relocate utilities, put them back in easements. You have to redo drive approaches. I mean, it can very quickly double the cost, and depending on how wide you're going to do it. We were going to looking at widening Caddo, just to add a foot on either side of it. By the time we moved utilities and did driveways, I mean, we were more than double the cost that far exceeded the bond amount that we went after. We're also running into, according to the engineer today, the bids they just opened for some other projects are significantly higher than what was estimated just because of the cost of things. The cost of road construction. And it may be that what we come to you with in February is to wait until it levels out a bit.
On Wagon Wheel, just out of curiosity, that's been a private road. The homeowners and the people living there have been taking care of it.
Right.
When we annex them, it's not officially a street. Can we go in and work on private owned roads like that?
Well, typically private owned roads, we don't go in there and work on those. The county had been working on those roads. We verified that because they had a big culvert collapse. It basically it blocked about, I don't know, 6 or 8 residents from being able to get to their homes during a flood. And so the county did a contract with them where they went out there and did some work on it. They put a double layer of chip seal on it 15 years ago. I think it's been quite a while. They've done some patches here and there, and so have we. And we spent about $35,000 redoing those culverts and that overpass. So to say that we've done nothing out there was not accurate, but I get their point. The road is in bad shape. That's very clear.
But it is a public road. It's not private road.
It is a public road.
Okay.
According to what we have found out, it is a public road.
That answers my question. That there's
We've got like Gun Court is still a private road.
Gun Court is a private road. See, the difference is because a lot of those properties out there aren't platted, so right away has not been established. So we have the roadway is there, their property extends to the middle of that roadway. And so I think that's why they're thinking that it's a private road, but it's not, it's a public street. But we are not going to let that developer exit onto it.
Okay, one other thing I want to ask about the public works, on Country Club, we replaced that one culvert that got so bad.
Yes.
What about the other culvert out there? Is that in the works to be repaired?
Yes.
Okay. We have an idea time frame or?
I think right now they're waiting on the culvert to get them cast. there's a little bit of a material delay for some of that stuff, and that's what it's been. I don't know when he's got it on the schedule, but I do know that he's been out there, the engineers have looked at it, that was one of the EPA projects that we've had to back out of because the owner of the golf course won't do any easements, so.
So if I tell this property owner that should be in the next few months, I
Absolutely,
would more than cover myself.
yes.
Thank
All right, anybody else have any questions on the reports?
Well, not on the reports,
Pardon?
not on the reports.
Okay,
I do have a question.
wait a minute.
I said not on.
Okay, go ahead.
On the secretary's report, I noticed that you had line number 3 of the public information request highlighted yellow. It was the Sika Bell code violation report. I was wondering why you had that highlighted.
I do not know. Apparently it was an error.
I just didn't know if there's something about that that was special.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
That answers your question.
Great, we'll get yours. I got a deal after we go into executive session for future requests or questions. I'll get you then. All right, well, if there's nothing else in the report. We're going to go into executive session at 7:36 to pursuant to provisions of chapter 551, subchapter D, Texas Government Code to discuss the following. In accordance with the Texas Government Code, section 551.074, deliberate regarding the appointment, employment, and evaluation of a public officer, employee with city manager.
They were hoping to walk me out.
Oh, you're gonna, yeah, protect you. That is our new city manager. All right, buddy, are we back on?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're gonna reconvene in open session at 7:58. Mr. Kimball, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept what we discussed in the executive session and get it implemented as soon as possible
For the city manager.
for the city manager's
Adjustments.
adjustments.
Do I have a second from Tanya? All right, got a motion by excuse me, by Scott Kimball, second by Merle Bridenstine to approve the changes to the city manager's employment contract. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Last item, does anybody have any requests for future agenda items? I think that would be, go ahead.
No, I've talked about this before. Where are we at on the train situation? This city's growing and then you come back here and the trains will stop, the traffic's getting worse and worse. And the police, the fire, they can't get down there. They can't get over here.
Right.
We need to, I know we did talk from the text off. I think we ought to send them a letter. Ask them where we at and get it back in writing.
Yeah, well, we didn't get it back right. We did send letters to get the underpass project back up and running. We had we do a monthly review session with TxDOT, the area engineers, and talk about ongoing issues. We talked about that briefly today. And I'm going to reach out to Janet to find that. They told me that they had made a decision on the route. They were making a few little minor changes that had to go through the approval process. And then they'll be reaching out to us. What I'm going to ask her is if she'll send me something that kind of says that. And so because we've got some discussions there too about quiet zones and a few other things that people are bringing up.
And another thing, 174, that's TxDOT, right?
Yes, sir.
Is it possible, apartments are over there, Brookshires. We got kids moving in there all the time, going across, somebody's gonna get hit there. Sooner or later. Is it possible to talk to TxDOT or somebody to see about putting a overpass walkway for these kids? When it's raining, cold, they're standing there waiting on the walk side.
There's been a conversation several years ago about an overpass, but it was pitched as for restaurants. So the kids weren't having to cross the street. One of the restaurants that was looking at Joshua Station. It has not been pitched as a safety, from a safety point.
We've got presidents there now.
But we can bring it up to them, absolutely. And I'm not too sure we don't need another crosswalk over there,
Yeah.
because a lot of them are coming from the apartments and going straight across and not coming down to the.
Well, if they had a walkway there, I guarantee they'd come down and go over.
Yeah, I'm sure they would.
Majority would, because they're not gonna have to set their way for traffic, they just cross over.
I can ask her about that, what the process is to have that looked at, because you were probably mayor when that came out. It's been 10, 12
And we
years.
visited with a school district.
Issue that they
Right.
there now,
Right.
because we got residents there.
Yeah, we visited with the school district at one time about a crosswalk over Stadium Drive. That's where, I'm not gonna say anymore, well, there's a lot more traffic there than there is coming across the highway 174. We also visited with TechStop on that, but it was too cost effective. Who's gonna pay for it? School or not? The school, they wouldn't even pay for the crosswalk over Stadium Drive. So, hey, we're getting a little bit carried away. What we'll do is we'll put that on the work session next time. Like, once you get
I'll
some
get the
information,
information.
we'll have it on the work session.
Somebody's gonna run that pipe, and somebody's gonna be killed.
We also had asked for a report on the internet and AT and cell phone coverage last time, and
You know what you did, and I've met with both of them, and I failed to get that done. It's on my desk.
We better go. Oh, we Hold it up.
No, I do have that information. As a matter of fact, I'll get that put out. I'll send it out to you. We can put that on for the work session next month too, if you like.
Alice, make sure that you put it on the work session.
Yes, sir.
It's your fault you didn't.
I'm sorry. It's my fault.
All right, nobody else has anything? We're adjourned. Okay, now you can go home.
That's right. That's your fault.